y'all, welcome back to my channel. Oh, look at here, y'all. Excuse all this. I just got off work this morning. Excuse me, I didn't know all that lipstick was around. Lord. But I was taking a nap in the car, so didn't even know. I'm just sleeping away. I guess snoring, probably drooling. That's probably how all this got around here. On y'all, night shift just do me in. So I'm just getting home from getting my nails done, and before I go in here, take a shower and lay it down, I said let me drop this video. I am Muriel. This is ASO by Muriel. I'm a BSN registered nurse, and today I'm doing a quick video. I had a subscriber ask about weekend supervising. Oh, when I say excuse me, y'all, I mean, y'all, look at this. A mess, y'all, a mess. This is I always tell them light ice on my iced caramel coffee, but they didn't give me hardly any ice, and this is just as warm, so when I go in the house, I'm going to put some ice cubes in here. But this video is about my weekend supervisor duties. I had a new subscriber ask me to go over duties as a weekend supervisor because I believe that's a position that she is starting or has already started. And I thank you for the idea. I really appreciate it. So I work as a weekend supervisor every other weekend in a long-term care facility. Y'all, I'm going to be honest with y'all. It's different in different facilities you go to because essentially my facility only want me to be basically a body in the building because I'm an RN. You know, facilities every 24 hours for 8 hours out of the 24, they have to have an RN on site in the facility. And that's not always happening on weekends. Weekends, they're, for one, utilize a lot of agency, but before agency became so prevalent, there was always an issue with having an RN come to work on the weekend because long-term care is primarily LPN nurses, and there are some RNs scattered throughout, but there are always these weekend shifts where there is no RN in the building, and I believe it's they can get fined for that, to be honest with you. So they were looking for an every other weekend RN, and I was like, hey, you only got to be there 8 hours. You're not working the floor. You're not supposed to be. Now, there are times that I have worked the cart, but I only have to be there for 8 hours, and I really technically don't have to work the cart. I do it to be nice because I know that they don't have any staff. So there normally is, they'll leave a list of the weekend duties normally for what they want you to do. Some of those duties could include doing admissions if they come in, checking the cart for expired medications, going over different paperwork, making sure immunization records are up to date, and documentation is up to date as far as people who receive immunizations. I do a lot of fielding complaints and things from family members if family members have questions. Normally the staff, the nurses who are working the floor, they will send those family members to me for me to deal with those complaints so that it doesn't impede them on doing their work, passing the medication, things like that. When I first took this position there, I was told from the supervisor who trained me that she helps with passing meal trays. She helped feed patients. And basically, really, and she made rounds, just made sure everybody was doing what they were supposed to do. And really, that's all she did. So I tried that job. I was so bored. If y'all don't know, I'm the type of nurse, I like to be moving. I like for the time to go by fast. And I was bored. I was bored just walking around the building every hour, 2 hours. Because one thing you'll get to know is when you're supervising, some of the staff feel a little intimidated because they think that you're there to spy on them. When you're really not there to spy on them, you're just there to make sure that they're doing their work. And so I don't like going around the facility every 30 minutes, every hour, 2 hours, but I've become so in tune with the nurses that are working, even though a lot of the nurses are agency nurses, they see me so much to the point that I'll go sit on one wing and I'll sit at the desk for about an hour. I'll field any complaints, any questions that the nurses have. At one point, I was going through the whole building doing all the vital signs, because when COVID was in the building, they had to do vital signs on every patient, and to ensure that people had the correct vital signs, I would do the vital signs on every patient in the building and give it to the nurses. And that really only took like 2 hours out of my day to do this facility it only holds 88 patients. It only took me about 2 hours to do all the vital signs on all the patients. That way the CNAs didn't have to stop doing what they were doing, and the nurses didn't have to stop doing what they were doing to do vital signs. So I would come in and I would do the vital signs on every patient. We have since stopped doing those COVID precautions, so those vital signs are not necessary anymore. But when an admission comes in, the nurses, for some reason, it's like they forget that they don't, I don't know, it's like they forget they know how to do admissions, because they'll let me know this admission is coming and I'll go through and I'll do the entire admission. There has to be a nurse in the dining area. They opened up the dining area since COVID precautions are over, and there must always be a nurse in the dining area. So whenever I'm there for breakfast or lunch, I always go to the dining room to help assist with monitoring the patients, to make sure no one chokes. And sometimes there's only like 10 residents. There's only like 10 residents in the dining room. So once the CNAs help pass the trays, I tell them they can go ahead, because I'm in there. I can monitor. That way the CNAs can go back on the floor and do what they need to do for their patients. So I'm in the dining room helping the patients with their meal times and stuff. I'm putting the trays back up. I'm assisting them out of the dining room. So I had a patient who had something acute going on with them at that time, and y'all, I don't want to say a lot of nurses. I like to follow through with things when it's going on with the patient, because I like to know when I leave there that I did everything that was needed to be done. Patient has something acute going on, I basically take over that acute episode of whatever is going on with the patient, and I do all the follow through. I do the calling of the physician, any tests that need to be ordered, I go ahead and get those ordered, whether it be a radiological test or blood work that needs to be ordered, stat or anything. I follow through with all that. I handle anything acute going on, so the nurse doesn't have to pull her attention away from her other residents. So basically that's what I do as a weekend supervisor, y'all. And when I tell y'all, most of the time I be so bored, and I even got to the point where at one time, now I'm not gonna lie, I was being a little petty, because when I first started weekend supervising, like I said, some of the nurses act like because I'm there, that they can't do a body audit. It was like they was passing everything on to me. So I became petty, y'all, and I started going in. I only had to be there 8 hours out of 24 hours. It didn't matter what 8 hours it was. So I would start going like midnight and then leaving like 8:30 in the morning. And really my hours were put in, and the facility had no problem with that, because they were like, it may be good for you to come in at night, because we get a lot of complaints about night shifts. So I would go in on a Saturday around midnight, and I would leave like 8:30 in the morning. Then I would have the rest of Saturday to myself the rest of the day, and then I would go back Sunday morning and be there with the day shift on Sunday morning. But honestly, y'all, it's not hard at all being a weekend supervisor. It's not hard at all. I've since stopped being petty like that, and I just go ahead and I handle anything acute going on. Like, I just, in my mind, it's like, okay, I'm going to have to be the one to handle this. So I go ahead and handle it. And to be honest, when you can just focus on handling what's going on with that one patient instead of having to focus on the 25 other patients, when you just focusing on that one patient, you can get those things, anything that needs to be done, you can get it done typically within 15 to 20 minutes. That's calling the family, calling the doctor, calling whatever tests need to be ordered. If the patient looks like they need to be sent out, sending them out, doing all that really gets done much more quickly it just flows so much better when you can just focus on doing that one thing. So yeah, that's pretty typically what my duties are as a weekend supervisor. And I've been doing it now for how long, y'all? I think I've been doing it now for about 5 months, every other weekend supervising. It's been going well, but honestly, y'all, I think I'm about to stop only because I did talk with them about giving me a raise. I think I mentioned this in another video. I was going to talk to them about getting a raise because I see what all the other nurses are coming in agency making. And I'm like, give me a raise, like, and I'll even pick up more shifts. And they declined. They declined giving me a raise. So I think I'm actually going to go PRN on this job because I just signed a contract. I did sign a contract to work at a facility that's owned by the Department of Mental Health, but it's a veterans facility. It's veterans are there, and I just committed myself to 24 hours a week to that facility for a very decent pay rate. With doing all of this, it's not really going to leave me time to work the supervisor job that the contract that I signed. I will actually be making $14 more an hour. So yeah, and I'm only obligated to work one weekend out the month. With my supervisor, I'm every other weekend, which is 2 weekends out the month. But with this job, I'm only obligated to work one weekend out the month, and I'm only obligated to work 24 hours a week. So I know I'm gonna let the other job, I'm just gonna drop down to PRN. But I'm Muriel. This is Ask Told by Muriel. If you have any more questions, just leave them down below, and I will be glad. I'm happy for the topic. I'm happy for the topic suggestions, y'all, because I'll be drawing a blank. So I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.